So this is going to be fun because I wonder how the ideologues that are basically backing Brexit are going to respond to this, because this isn't just any expert about to say this. This is the WTO, the thing that these hardcore ideologues are banking on to try and save them. So this article comes from the Financial Times. I'll leave a link down below. And yeah, we can begin. So, the World Trade Organization has warned about potential disruption for the UK from a no-deal Brexit, saying that it is very unlikely that the government will have agreed tariffs and quotas with all other member countries by next March. And I've said this every time we cover this on the WTO thing. We've got to agree these tariffs and quotas with 164 different countries. Which one has agreed to these tariffs yet? None. That's who. Currently, Liam Fox, again, if you look on their trade website, you've got the people who they're talking to. They're talking to the TTP, which doesn't exist, but they've said they're not interested. They want to talk with Europe, the EU, over us. America, who have said that the trade deal must be done behind closed doors. And then Australia and New Zealand, who have already said that they are going to take us to court over the tariffs over lamb meat. So, yeah, wonderful things. So, hardline Brexiteers have pointed to the WTO as a safety net that would allow trade to continue with additional barriers, even if Britain left the EU without a deal. But Roberto Azevêdo, I think that's how you say it, the head of the WTO, said on Friday that other countries would look to take advantage of the UK's position, competing or preventing agreement on some points. The moment that the other countries begin to sense an opportunity to increase the market share or increase the quota here or there, they are going to go for that. There will be a lot of uncertainty here. There will be a lot of unpredictability, he told BBC Radio 4's Today programme. It is unlikely that you're going to have a 100% agreed outcome for all WTO members between here and March. Mr. Azevêdo comments are a notably candid assessment of the legal obstacles facing the UK. The UK's Department for International Trade said in response that it was looking to simply facilitate talks by replicating as far as possible our current obligations. They are not going to do that because we don't have the same clout as the EU. We have already started the formal processes of agreeing the schedules with WTO members, but they haven't. WTO members they are talking to are America, Australia, and New Zealand. Those are the only three that they're talking to. And it can be completed within 3 months. That's laughable. That's so laughable. But it is not uncommon for it to take longer and for members to trade under unregulated schedules for periods of time while concerns about commitments are ironed out, the department said. A UK government technical notice published on Thursday said that the event of a no-deal Brexit, trade with the EU will be on non-preferential World Trade Organization's terms, but this did not address what would happen if there was no agreement with other WTO members. The British government has said that a no-deal Brexit is unlikely, although Liam Fox, the International Trade Secretary in charge of negotiating with the WTO, has said that it's a 60% probability. David Linden of the Cabinet Office said on Friday that negotiations with the EU could continue until November, echoing the statement made this week by Michel Barnier, the lead EU negotiator. In a no-deal scenario, Mr. Azevêdo made clear that the EU could not exempt the UK from tariffs. The EU could not discriminate among the WTO members. The other members pay tariffs, so the UK will have to pay tariffs as well, he said. Under the same WTO rules, Britain could impose zero tariffs on some goods as proposed by some Brexiteers, but it would have to do so for all WTO members. Overall, Mr. Azevêdo, the former Brazilian trade negotiator, said of a no-deal Brexit, there will be an impact. It may be larger or smaller depending on the sector. It is not going to be the end of the world, but it will not be a walk in the park either. The WTO could also object to Britain's proposed border system with the EU, the so-called facilitated customs agreement. The UK Trade Secretary, Mr. Fox, said that last month that there is no way with a system that has ever been tested before, so we don't know whether the WTO will regard it as compliant. So that's the head of the WTO basically saying, yeah, these fantasies that these Brexiteers are pushing about the WTO being amazing, not going to happen. And here's the thing, wind back to the referendum. There was no one in the Leave camp really arguing for this. The positions they were arguing for were, let's become like Norway, which was the prevailing argument, which were basically we will leave the EU politically, but we will stay in the single market and the customs union. As I've said before, many people were hoodwinked to vote for this because that's what they wanted to do. You then had, we'll leave the single market, but we'll stay in the customs union. You then, which again basically facilitates no real massive changes. You then had what a lot of these Brexiteers were aiming at, which was this free trade agreement. There was not a single argument being put forward about the WTO and how amazing the WTO was, when in fact it's not really as amazing as Brexiteers make it out to be. So, once again, you have the WTO being pictured as this land of milk and honey, but you have the head of the WTO basically coming out and saying, it's not going to be like that.